Hi everyone. I hope you can hear me. So if you are in this Zoom webinar and you can hear me, you're in the right place if you've signed up for the Bursa Investment Challenge webinar today. So we are still waiting for all the other students to join. We have about 500 people online. Remember, this is a Zoom webinar. So you won't be able to turn on your camera. You won't be able to unmute your mic as well because this is a Zoom webinar, right? You'll be able to listen in to the sharing later. And if you have any questions, you can put it in the chat box or the Q&A section. There's a lot of questions coming in. So if we are unable to answer all your questions, it will take some time to answer everyone's questions. You can also chat with us privately, or if you have our phone numbers, you can WhatsApp us as well, right? So there's a lot of you, but the most important thing for you to remember is to actually, if you're able to hear us, that's one, that's good. And secondly, I need you all to rename yourself if you have not done so, right? So some of you all have put your names in the chat box in the Q&A, so that's fine. We may be able to track it, but it'll be even better if you are able to rename yourself on the Zoom, right? How do you do it? If you're joining for your laptop, you can go look for the participants button. You click the participants, you will look for your name, your own name. Once you see your name, there'll be 3 buttons at the side. You just click that, you will see rename. Click rename, and then you'll be able to type in your full name followed by your school name as shown by the slide over here. Right? Once you do that, you just click change, and then your name will be changed already, right? We'll be able to see it on the participants list. So if you're using your mobile phone, if you're using your handphone, you will need to see if there's a button called more or a button called participants. Look for yourself, click more, and then join, and then rename yourself, right? Same thing. Okay, it's very easy. So I see a few people raising your hand, right? I believe if you're raising your hand, you have a question that is unanswered. All right, so if you have a question which is unanswered or you need some help, please put it in the chat box. So there's a Q&A box and there's a chat box, all right? So if you find you need anything, then you can put it there. You can reply to us privately as well. You can chat with us privately. So look for anyone with the name JA Malaysia at the front. So JA Malaysia is our company. We'll be hosting the workshop for today. So look for JA Malaysia. Ask us any questions. All right. In the meantime, just reach out to your friends who are not here at the moment. We will start at 10 a.m. sharp. So reach out to your friends who have registered but are not online at the moment. All right. Thank you. Hi students, if you're having trouble renaming yourself, okay, if you don't know how to do it still, no issues, right? You can actually put your full name and your school name in the Q&A box like most of the students are doing. So as long as you put it there, we should be able to track down your name and change your name for you. All right. The most important thing is we want to be able to see you online. So if you don't know how to change your name, don't worry. Just put it in the chat box, full name and school name. All right. And then we'll be able to change it for you. All right, students, good morning. It's 10 o'clock at the moment, but I want to give maybe another 2 or 3 more minutes before we start our webinar. So if your friends are not here yet, if they have registered but they're not here yet, let them know, send them a message, tell them we are going to start very, very shortly, right? We will start with the webinar. We will have someone to come in after this and present what you're supposed to learn for the Bursa Investment Challenge. In the meantime, if you're trying to rename yourself, you don't know how to rename yourself, it's okay. Just put it in the chat box, your full name and your school name. We will help you change your name for you. All right. So just give us another 3 more minutes and we will start the Bursa webinar very, very shortly. So what I need you all to do is to, if you have a notebook, take out your notebook, and I want you to listen in to the person who's going to share with you some info, because all the questions that we're going to ask you in the first round of the competition is going to be based on today's presentation. So I need you to listen carefully. If you have questions, put it in the chat box. All right, so we can help you understand this whole thing. All right, so another 3 more minutes, then we will start. Okay. So students, I hope you are ready. All right. So those who are online right now, I hope you're ready. I hope you're waiting to start the webinar as well. So if you're here, thank you. Welcome to the Bursa Investment Challenge 2023 webinar. All right. This webinar was actually created to give you some info about what this program is all about and give you some content about what we may actually test you during the competition. So you know this today is just a webinar. We're going to go through some info for you, give you what to study, what to know. And then the first round of the competition will be 2 weeks from now. All right. So what I will do first, I will actually now invite Mr. Shane Chu from LifeChamp to actually go through the webinar. So he will be doing the presentation. Listen to him carefully. If you have any questions for him, don't be afraid to ask. Right? So Shane, it's all yours.
Thank you so much, Roshan, for your kind introduction. Good morning, everybody. Hope that you all are doing well. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Roshan, you can see my screen, right?
Yes, I can.
All right, fantastic. So a very good morning to everybody, and thank you so much to Bursa Malaysia for having me, and thank you so much for J Malaysia for inviting me to be here today. So my topic today is going to talk about Bursa Investment Challenge. So today I'm going to go through the sensibility modules for 1.5 hours. Then after that, I will share with you the scope of the quiz. But I'm sure that many of you here would have known what the Bursa Investment Challenge is all about and what it entails. So today, we're going to go through some of the financial literacy module so that you understand what is investing, what is financial literacy, what is personal finance. And at the end of the day, you'll be able to answer the quiz well. All right. So allow me to briefly introduce myself. My name is Shane Chu. I'm a financial speaker, trader, investor with over 10 years of experience trading and investing in the stock market. I'm also a certified professional trainer by IPMA UK. So as a speaker, I often speak for investment banks, stock exchange, and also I design stock investing games and so on. But I started investing as young as about 19 years old. I bought my first share when I was 19 years old. Now I do it professionally as a trainer, teach young people how to get started in the stock market. So just acknowledgement to Multiply. So whatever that's presented here is also in collaboration with Multiply by Credo Foundation. So some of the contents here are developed by them. So whatever we share in this session is only for education purpose. So there's no buy or sell to any listed securities that should be mentioned here. All right. So our agenda today, content today is what is personal finance? Then we're going to talk about investing insights. Then we're going to talk about financial frauds. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the Bursa Investment Challenge. All right. So the contents that I'm going to present later will make up some of the questions that is going to be presented whether in a preliminary round or in semi-final or in grand finale. So it could be in one of them. But it doesn't mean that all questions will come from the presentation today, okay? But some of the questions will come from the presentation today, but you still have to go back and do the reading materials. All right, so let's get started. Okay, what is personal finance? Now, personal finance covers all the things that you need to know to manage your money well, okay? So it includes planning and budgeting, saving and investing, tackling debt, buying a vehicle, buying a home, insurance, and retirement. And this is what encompasses what personal finance encompasses. All right. So why is this important? Okay. Why is learning money important? Because financial planning can help us to ensure security. It protects our family from unexpected financial shocks. It helps to preserve relationship because nearly half of the divorces in Malaysia are due to financial problems. Okay, they all gaduh, okay, argue because of money issue. Okay, and health. Okay, money also is important to preserve health, right? Because financial stress can cause poor sleep, mood swings, and mental health problems. Okay, one of the issues that I faced when I was growing up is that both my parents are often arguing about money, right? So since I was in primary until I go to secondary school, so I learned that money is an important subject in life, and money is often the cause of argument at home, and it's a very sensitive matter. So when we learn about money, and if you can become financially successful or wealthy one day in the future, then you have one less thing to worry about. Okay, your relationship could be stronger because you have less things to argue about, and your health could be improved, right? Because you may not have as much as financial stress as people who are not as financially successful as you. So these are why we need to learn about money. Okay, I've seen some people. I'm now a working adult. I've seen some people who earn 3,000 a month who are broke. I've also seen some people who make 30,000 ringgit a month who are even more broke. So it doesn't. If you make a lot of money, it doesn't mean that you are financially smart, right? Because you could make 30,000 a month, but you still could spend 35,000 a month, and you're still in deficit. Okay, so that's why we need to learn about money. We need to learn how to manage the money so that every month we will end up in surplus. We don't want to be in deficit, because if we are in deficit for the month, then subsequently we may develop the money habits that will encourage us, for impulse spending, that it will lead to, subsequent deficit spending month, right? There are some people who are really rich. Okay, we have Hollywood actors and actresses. We have NBA stars. Okay, or the football players who are very successful. But at the end, when they retire from the sports, okay, when they retire from the screen, they can also become broke. Okay, they become bankrupt. We've seen people who have made stars who have made hundreds of millions of dollars in their career, but end up broke, end up bankrupt. All right. So it's not how much money you make, it's how much financial literacy that you have. You must learn how to manage the money. All right. So now personal finance and financial planning always start with planning a budget. Okay. So why do we need to plan our budget? Okay. Why budgeting is very important. Now, first of all, budgeting allows us to get the most out of money because we know what our priorities are, and we know how much we should allocate for that priorities. Okay. And it can also help us to free up some money that we may have. Okay. And to keep our debt under control. Now, chances are when you grow up, you will likely to take up some debt. Okay. In whether it is in credit card, is in a higher purchase loan, or the mortgage, you're likely to take out some debt. If you don't do your budgeting well, probably is your debt may spiral out of control. If you do your budgeting well, then you know precisely how much is your expenses every month and how much is your income every month, and you know how do you allocate your financial planning, your budgeting. Okay, how much to spend, how much to earn, and so on. So what are the steps to plan the budget? Okay, the first step in planning budget is to always understand yourself. Okay, know yourself. Understand what do you want in life. Okay, how much money do you make? Okay, when you work, what are the expenses that you incur? Okay, have a list, to track yourself, track your expenditure. There are a lot of that I'm sure many of you here will have been using a smartphone. There are a lot of apps, personal finance app, or apps that can help you to keep track of your income and expenses. Yeah, just download one of them, and every time you spend money, right, you just keep track in that app, so it can tabulate for you how much you spend a month and on what item, how much you spend on food, how much you spend on groceries, how much you spend on petrol, and so on. So it can help you to list down, and every month you will evaluate: am I overspending, or am I still under my budget? Do I spend according to the budget? Okay. So for myself, right, I do one step further. Okay. I even have my own personal income and expenditure sheet, right? I have my personal P&L. Then I also have my personal balance sheet. So I keep track of my asset and keep track of my liabilities. So I want to know my net worth. All right. So that's what we do. So know yourself is the first thing. You must know your income and your expenditure. That's the basic things that you must know. The second thing is set your priorities. Okay. After you're known about your spending behavior, after you're known that your income capability, then next is you must set your priorities. Okay. What are things that is truly important to you? What are your basic necessities? Okay. What are things that are wants? Okay. That you would love to have them, right? And what are do you want to save for your children education? For example, one day you may have a children, right? Save your retirement, for retirement. So set your priorities. Okay, know exactly what you want to achieve in life, and then plan your budget. Okay. Now, for example, right now you could be in 15 years old. You could be 17 years old. Okay. When you graduate, you find probably in 22 years old, you find yourself a job. Okay. then your starting pay could be, let's say, 3,000 ringgit. Okay, then you could set a target, right? I want to retire by the time I reach 55 years old, or when I reach 60 years old. Then you would have envisaged or visualize what kind of lifestyle you want to live. You could then you estimate how much that lifestyle may cost you. For example, you may want to live a lifestyle that will cost you probably 5 million ringgit. Okay, and you estimate that your life expectancy is until 75 years. Okay, for example. So from 55 to 75 years, you have 20 years period. And you need 5 million to sustain that period. Then you start to plan backward, right? Okay, right now, how much money I should have as my startup capital to invest? Then to reach that target 5 million, how many years do I have? So that's probably 30 years. And what kind of return do I need to get to reach that goal? Okay, so that's an area that you can plan. Then, so plan your budget also include, so that's financial planning. But plan your budget. After you know your priorities, then you know, okay, my goal this year is to save, let's say 1,000 ringgit. Okay, for example, my goal this year is to save 1,000 ringgit, 1,002. Okay, to save 1,002. Then in other words, every month I need to save 100 ringgit. All right, so you plan your budget. How do you exactly achieve 100 ringgit saving in a month? Okay, for example, so as of now, maybe your income will come from your daily allowance from your parents. Okay, so you can start to do your planning. Okay, how much my parents give me every month? How much do I spend on my food at school? How much do I spend, okay, on the toys, on the games and so on? How much do I spend on classes? Okay, so you can list down. Okay, and at the end of the day, okay, how much is a balance, or are you running on deficit every month? Okay, so when you go to work, you definitely have more things for you to budget, right? When you go to work, you have your salary, then you have your utilities, your rent to pay, your insurance, and so on. So there are more things for you to budget. But when at the stage right now, you can also do planning, for your your allowance. Okay, then how much do you spend? Keep track of that. Then you'll be able to know whether you're in deficit or in surplus, and whether you can reach your financial goals. So in setting your priorities, you must know differentiate between the needs and wants. Okay, so for example, a need would be a regular phone, and a wants would be the latest smartphone, right? Okay, you want an iPhone 14 Pro, Max Pro. Okay, so you want a latest smartphone. Every time Apple rolls out a new series of flagship phone, you want them. Okay, so these are wants. Okay, so but when you don't have much income generating ability, then obviously you need to have stronger delay gratification. Okay, every time when you want to confront your wants, you always ask yourself, okay, can I really afford them? Okay, how should I afford them? Okay, if you can afford them, then you might know, am I touching my savings for the emergency fund? Okay, so we must learn to develop delay gratification. When you have delay gratification, then sometimes after 6 months later, after you cool down, you may think that these ones are just luxury. Okay, you may not necessarily need them. Okay, so it is more important for you to prioritize your needs versus your wants, right? Because every time when you prioritize your wants, chances are, every time when you have wants, you buy them, chances are you'll be broke. And if you develop this habit, you'll be broke for the rest of your life. So the third step is to plan the budget. Okay, now in planning a budget, right, aim to achieve some of these things. Okay, first thing is always pay off your credit card debt first. Now I'm sure at this age you may not have credit card yet, but you would have seen your parents, swipe the card, right? You would have seen your parents swipe your card when you grow up. So these are credit card. Okay, credit card means that it comes with credit. Okay, you must be somebody of certain credit worthiness for you to own this card. So when you swipe the card, you actually spend the money, even though you don't see the money flowing out. Okay, you don't see a cash transaction between you and the merchant, but actually it has been transacted digitally. And why you need to pay off the credit card debt first? Because credit card debt comes with the highest interest rate among all the debt. Okay, on average, it's about 17% to 18% per annum. Okay, so credit card has one of the largest, interest rate. So when you don't pay off your credit card, you will be incurring a lot of unnecessary expenses. The interest will be compounded, and you will see that it snowballs very fast. Sometimes when they advertise a credit card to you, they may tell you that it is 1.5% per month. But 1.5% per month times 12 is 18% a year. Okay, that's very high, right? And if you add in the impact of compound, then you will see that your credit card debt will snowball before you know it. Okay, so if you can't pay off your credit card debt, then the rest, it becomes secondary already. Okay, so if you can't pay off credit card debt, right, the rest you don't have to talk about saving, you don't have to talk about investing already. Okay, priority is first pay off credit card debt. After you pay off credit card debt, then second thing is budget to settle other loans. Okay, if you have excess cash, right, then you can settle other loans. Okay, for example, you look at you assess your internal, when you grow up, you can assess your internal investment literacy and the products. So for example, the loan, let's say the loan A is costing you 5% per annum, and loan B is costing you 3% per annum. And let's say there's an investment that can bring you 4% per annum. Okay, so then which one you should prioritize? Right? You have excess cash, which one should we prioritize? Okay, so you can take the cash to pay off, the loan that's costing you a lot of money. For example, 5% interest rate, right? You have excess cash, then you pay off the loan that is causing you 5% interest rate a month. You can settle the debt. Then after that, you have excess cash, you can invest. Okay, instead of paying off the loan that costs you 3%, then you can invest at the asset that can grow you 4% a year. Okay, so you have to compare loan versus investment return. Okay, if you have excess cash, what you can do, of course, always aim to settle the higher interest rate loan first. The third is you aim to save at least 6 months' salary for emergencies. Okay. Right now, of course, you are not earning yet. You're still studying. But when you're earning, you must learn that, we must always have at least 6 months of salary for savings and for emergency. Because you don't know, sometimes unfortunate things could happen first. Then you may need to have enough cash reserve for you to pay off, to address some of the situation that you may encounter. So it's very important for you to, save at least 6 months. Of course, if you're a highly geared person, in other words, you got a lot of debt, then I would recommend that you have 12 months. Okay, if you're not having too much or excessive debt, then 6 months salaries would be sufficient. Okay, then the rest can be invested. All right, so this is a says for rainy days. Then fourth is saves as much as possible for retirement. Okay, now according to the research, right, a lot of retirees, when they reach their retirement age and when withdraw their EPF from the bank, right, from the EPF, right, it's not it can only last them less than 6 months. Okay, it cannot last them for 20 years. Okay, so that's the harsh reality that Malaysians need to face. Okay, so we don't just rely on EPF for retirement. You can also save, for retirement. Okay, and better still, invest for retirement. Okay, take your money, make your money to work hard for you, put them in the stock market, put them in other assets like in property and so on, and save them for your retirement. Okay, nowadays I think that we easily need 1 to 2 millions for retirement. That's my opinion. Okay, to have a okay, a decent lifestyle. For once, right, you must allocate 10% of your salary. Okay, for once, you must allocate 10%. I think the recommendation here is allocate 10% of your salary. Okay, if you allocate more, then you may not have enough to save for the rainy days. If you allocate less, then sometimes you may not live the kind of the rich quality life that you may feel that you deserve. Okay, so 10% is a acceptable benchmark. Okay, so you could set aside, a long-term saving for spending account, right? Let's say you draw salary 3,000 ringgit a month, then you save 300 for this one. Okay, want. Okay, for example, you love to have a 70-inch TV, right? Every month you save 10% of your salary. Okay, so when your wants, when your savings and your wants account reach, let's say 4,000-5,000 ringgit, where you can afford that want, then that's when you purchase the one. All right. So allocate 10% for salary for one, so that we are not treating ourselves so badly. Okay, we can also sometimes splurge on the things that we really want. Okay, whether it's the latest smartphone or the latest technology, okay, a big screen TV or any, home and living devices that you would desire. All right. And 6 is, if you have dependents, make sure you have life insurance. And this is very important. If you have dependents, that you must think about, the circumstances where you're no longer around and your dependents can still survive, right? Let's say you're the sole bread and winner for the house. Then if you don't have a life insurance, let's say you pass away, you are caught in a car accident, or you achieve total permanent disability, okay, or you pass away in a train crash and so on, then who is going to look after your children? Okay, who is going to look after your dependents? So if you have dependents, make sure that you have, sufficient coverage of life insurance. Okay, that can help them. To have a proper childhood, right? So this is, some consideration to plan your budget when you become a working adults. All right. So if there are some calculators, online that can help you to plan your budget, and multiply budget calculator is one of them. Okay, if you want to know about these calculators, you can visit www.multiply.org.my. Okay, so that's where you can see their budget calculator. And not only budget calculator, they have a lot more variety of the budget calculator. Okay. How to manage your debt? Okay, how to manage your debt is a very important issue. So right after we have talked about, planning and budgeting, so let's talk about managing your debt. So what is a debt? Okay, so in terms of debt, right, the liabilities that we owe, sometimes we could need to borrow money to afford some of the things that we want in life. So this may include, getting ourselves a car, getting ourselves a house, getting the credit card and so on. So debt generally refers to you have a credit card, your hire purchase loan, your housing loan, your personal loan, and your other loans. And the general rule of thumb on how to manage your debt is to not to have excessive debt. Okay, the total debt repayment should be less than 40% of your income. How many percent? 40%. So that is a safe threshold. Okay, and because the rest of the 60%, you can still use it to afford your daily necessities. Okay, you can still use it to afford your daily necessities. So if your debt repayment, say, is at 70% of your monthly income, every month you make 3,000 ringgit, but 70% of them, okay, like 2,100 ringgit, has gone to repaying your debt. Your only left is 900. Do you think you can survive with 900 ringgit? Okay, very hard, right? So 900 ringgit, you have to pay your rent, you got to pay your utilities, you got to pay your insurance, you got to pay for your food, right? And that's very hard. So we should aim to have your debt repayment less than 40% of income. That's where we can still, this is still a good safe threshold for us to live our life, right? If you have anything more than that, then it's pretty dangerous. Okay. So 5 things to keep in mind when you're dealing with loans. Okay. Now, like what I said, your total loan repayment should be less than 40% of your income. Then you must check whether the loan, is it a flat interest rate or is a reducing balance interest rate. Okay. Then you check what is the effective interest rate for your loan. Okay, we'll talk about that in a short while. We must always ask for a product disclosure sheet. Okay, when the banker present you, try to sell you the loan. Okay, loan need to be sold. Okay, when the banker try to sell you the loan, they may not tell you everything that you need to know. Okay, because the bankers all have KPI, right? Okay, they have a key performance indicator. They have the target to achieve in terms of how much loan they disburse. So you must always ask for a product disclosure sheet so that you'll be able to know what exactly is it about, how much interest rate you charge, and how is it calculated. Okay, if there are things that you don't understand, you please inquire with them. Okay. Then fifth, timely repayments help maintain a good credit score. If you borrow money and you don't repay your loan in time, your credit score will be very bad. And when your credit score is bad, then the next time you want to ask for a loan, when you want to buy a house, for example, you need to get a mortgage, then the banker may hesitate or may be forced not to take you, not to give you the loan. Because why? Because you're not a credit trustworthy person. See, every time we repay our debt, right, the bank negara will have a system to keep track of our repayment. The moment you miss your repayment, then the system will flag one. The system is called securities. Okay, it will flag one. So if you have a lot of loan, and if you miss one of them, then one of them will appear one. Okay, if you repay your loan, okay, cantik, right? You repay your loan on time, in the securities is all zero. Okay, when you have zero, that means that this girl is credit worthy. Okay, we lend him money, we lend her money, he or she pay back the loan on time. If you have a good credit score, then all the bankers will love you. The next time you ask for a loan, they will loan it to you. Okay, if your credit score is bad, right? When they check their credit score, wow, they have a lot of one, right? Then they will, if they need to lend you the loan, they will charge the interest rate higher. Okay, if I have a good credit score, I go to the bank, I ask for the same amount, and you have a bad credit score, you go to the bank, you ask for the same amount, my interest rate could be 3%, your interest rate could be 5%. Okay, so they could be different because the bank may perceive you as a high risk person. If you have a bad credit score, you're a high risk person, because when they lend you money, they don't repay back, they will flag you as high risk person. To do your business, I definitely need to charge you higher to compensate the risk that I'm taking. All right. So you need to have good credit score. Okay. If you don't have a good credit score, chances are you cannot undertake any loan. All right. So let me talk about what is effective interest rate. Okay. To do that, I will want to play a video. All right. So let's watch this video to understand what exactly is effective interest rate. Okay.
Trying to decide between using a credit card or getting a personal loan? Which gives you the better interest rate? Well, actually, different types of loans have different types of interest rates. There are two types of interest rates out there, a flat interest rate and a reducing balance interest rate. But a flat interest rate of 2% isn't the same as a reducing balance rate of 2%. So wait, how does this work? Well, personal loans and car loans use flat interest rates. A flat interest rate is calculated from the original amount you borrow. So even as you pay off your loan, the interest you pay stays the same each year. For these loans, go for a shorter tenure to save on interest payments. Home loans and credit cards, on the other hand, use reducing balance interest rates. Here, the interest is calculated from your leftover loan balance. So as you pay off your loan, the interest you pay gets smaller and smaller. If you can't afford it, pay off more of your loan to save on interest payments, especially for credit cards as they have really high interest rates. So if flat and reducing balance interest rates are calculated differently, how do we compare them? Well, by looking at the effective interest rate, or EIR. The EIR is the real interest rate of a loan and is basically the same as a reducing balance interest rate. As a rough guide, take your flat rate and multiply it by 2 to get your EIR. So a flat interest rate of 3% would have an EIR of about 6%. You can find the EIR on the bank website or in the product disclosure sheet. But if you still can't find it, call your loan provider and ask for it. So how do you decide between using your credit card or getting a personal loan? Simple. Always compare the EIR. For example, if the personal loan interest is 14% per year, this means the EIR is about 28%. Say the credit card, on the other hand, has an EIR of 18%. You'll know that this is the better option since it has the lower EIR. No matter which loan you pick, always make your repayments on time to avoid extra fees and penalties. For a more accurate EIR conversion, check out our EIR calculator on www.multiply.org.my. Multiply is a non-profit initiative by Creador Foundation.
Okay. Are you seeing my screen now? Okay. Okay, so right now I'm sure that you have learned what exactly are effective interest rate and what are the differences between flat interest rate and the reducing balance interest rate. Okay, so let's just recap what you have just learned from the video. Okay, for flat interest rate, let's say the advertised personal loan is 18%, but the effective interest rate is not exactly 18%. Okay, it is actually 36.62%. So it's roughly 2 times. Okay. For hire purchase, which is also based on the flat interest rate model, if the advertised hire purchase interest rate is 2.5% per year, then the effective interest rate is actually 4.82% a year. So it's also about roughly 2 times. Okay. About for the effective interest rate. But for the reducing balance interest rate, typically the housing loan and credit card loans are based on the reducing balance interest rate model. Whatever is advertised is actually the effective interest rate a year, per year. All right. So that's why if you learn that, if the if the loan that you want to take is personal loan, okay, and vehicles, then you know that the advertised rate is not the real rate. Okay. Because it is based on the initial amount. Every time you pay off your hire purchase loan or you pay your personal loan, right? The interest is still charged on the initial amount. Let's say you have a hire purchase loan for 100,000, okay, and you have a loan tenure of 7 years. After you pay off your car loan for 4 years, the same 2.5% is still charged on 100,000, but not on the current balance because you pay for the 4 years, but the interest rate is still charged of 100,000. That's why the effective interest rate is much higher. So that's why, when you take out the loan and if it's on a flat interest rate model, you must always remember the effective interest rate is roughly 2 times the advertised rate. Okay, then you can make meaningful comparison with the other loan product. How much interest rate are they charging you? So let's talk about personal loan. Now personal loan is the #1 reason for bankruptcy in Malaysia. And it's #1 reason. Okay, if you don't want to become bankrupt, then the first thing you should avoid is taking personal loan, because personal loan, the interest rate is also pretty high. Okay, so 3 things to know when it comes to taking personal loan. Okay, check the total interest rate before you take on a personal loan. Okay, the total interest rate. Okay, #2, you must know what is a flat interest rate and how long is the loan tenure that you take. Okay, then you will be able to calculate what is the effective interest rate. Okay, sometimes the advertised rate could be 10%, but really when you calculate the effective interest rate, about 19% a year. Okay, and only is for emergency. You don't take a personal loan to invest or pay off your debt. Okay, if your credit card, if your, let's say a higher purchase loan is charging you effective interest rate of 5%, and you go and borrow a personal loan to pay off your higher purchase loan, is bloody stupid, right? Because personal loan charge you a higher interest rate than a higher purchase loan. Okay, so you don't take a personal loan, invest or pay off your debt. When push come to shove, you really got no choice. You ran out of options, but you really need this money to save lives, right? Okay, for emergency, you need to save life. Then no choice, you have to undertake a personal loan. Okay, but so it's important for us to have a credit worthiness. Okay, if you are always a credit unworthy, you always have you don't pay off your debt on time, so the bank and the CARA system tells you that this guy is had a bad credit record. When you take personal loan, they will charge you very high, right? Or they may reject your application. Then when you got no choice, some people, they got no choice, they go out to find the loan shark. When they find the loan shark, that's when the life is doomed. Okay, because the interest rate is even more exorbitant. All right. So that's why I emphasize that we must always maintain a good repayment of our credit. And only take personal loan from reputable sources. Okay, you don't take personal loan from unlicensed, unlicensed parties. Okay, from unlicensed parties, then you subject yourself to even greater risk. Now, let's compare these two. Okay, loan A versus loan B. Okay, both have the same principle. Okay, 40,500 ringgit. Both have this charge you the same interest rate, 2.5% a year, right? But loan A is 5 years repayment period. Loan B, the loan tenure is 9 years repayment period. So as such, right, the monthly repayment for loan A is 759 ringgit a month. The repayment for loan B is 459 ringgit a month. Okay, so now my question to you is, which loan do you think is cheaper to take? Okay, which loan do you think is cheaper to take? Do you think it's A or is B? Okay, type A or B, right? In the chat box and let me know. Wow. Okay, majority of you type loan A, right? That is correct. Okay, loan A is actually the cheaper loan to take, despite having a higher repayment amount. The repayment amount is 759 ringgit a month, but it's still a cheaper loan to take. Why? Because you only need to pay 759 ringgit a month for 5 years, which is about 60 months, right? For 459 ringgit a month, you have to pay 9 years. And 9 years, you times 12 months is 108 months, right? So if you take all the amount, absolute amount, after 5 years and after 9 years, you would have realized that loan A is much cheaper. Loan B is more expensive. Okay, so that leads me to this hire purchase agreement. Okay, now hire purchase is the number 2 reason for bankruptcy in Malaysia. The second most famous reason for people who became bankrupt is the hire purchase loan, right? Because a lot of people would like to take a 9-year loan. When you buy a car, right, you take a 9-year loan. 9-year loan is usually the maximum loan that they extend to you. Okay, so the shorter loan could be about 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, but typically people, when they buy car, they take between 5 years to 7 years. Okay, if you have to take 9 years loan, that means that you can't really afford the car. Okay, so I would typically recommend that, if you have to take a 9-year loan for hire purchase, you may want to reduce the car model. Okay, downgrade your car model. Okay, keep it to about 7 years. Okay, at most. Okay, so you actually pay more interest on a 9-year loan than a 5-year loan. Okay, despite that, 9-year loan have a lower repayment amount, right? Number 2, you choose according to your budget. You choose a car for which the repayments you can afford. You don't want to choose a high-end car because the car looks flashy, looks good, right? Look cool for you to drive around town. Then you pick that car, right? No, you pick the cars that you can afford to prepay. Okay, and typically my personal yardstick is that if you earn a 50,000 ringgit a year, then you don't pick a car that's more than 50,000. Don't pick a car that's more than the annual income. If you earn 100,000 ringgit a year, then you should keep your car range below 100,000. So that's my personal yardstick. Okay, interest rate. Okay, you must know when you take hire purchase, it's a flat interest rate, and this interest rate you agree when you take a loan. Okay, you must know. Can you save on interest by increasing your monthly repayments towards your housing loan? Okay, so this is the next question I want to ask you. So I'm done with hire purchase, right? Now I talk about mortgage. Okay, if you every month you repay more of your required amount towards your housing loan, can you save on interest? Okay, yes or no? The answer is yes, right? Many of you here say yes. That's correct. Okay, so if you have more excess cash, then you would decide should you want to pay off your mortgage first. But of course, what I will do here is that let's say, no, my mortgage is 4%, but I know that in the market I can generate a return more than 4%. Then I got this cash, right? Let's say I have 100,000. I will use this cash to invest. But if the rate of return from the investment is lower than the mortgage that my bank is charging me, then I will take this excess cash to repay my housing loan. Okay, so that's how I compare, right? So when you want to take a housing loan, when you want to buy a house, chances are most people, majority of people, I think 99.9% of people will take a mortgage. Okay, there are only a selective few who buy it with cash, right? So you take a mortgage, then you always want to compare a few loans, because when you buy a house, it's not like 1,000, 2,000 ringgit, right? It could be 500,000. It could be 800,000, right? It could be 1 over million or 2 million, right? It's huge, that, right? And even the interest rate that charge you 1% or 0.01% difference, it can also make a difference, okay, across the loan tenure. Because when you take a loan, let's say 500,000 loan to buy a 500,000 means 500,000, right? 500,000 condominium. A loan, a bank that charges you 3% and a bank that charges you 3.02% will make a difference in a 35 years loan period. Okay, so always compare a few loans, ask a few banks for their quotation. Okay, how much they can lend you. Okay, the second thing you need to know is higher repayment, lower interest. You pay off more of your loans to save on interest. Okay, if you have excess cash, you can pay off more loans, right? And the thing to know is that housing loan, as what we have told you, is reducing balance interest rate. So the interest rate is charged on the remaining balance of your loan. Okay, so these are 3 things to know about mortgage. Unlike flat loan, right? Like personal loan and the hire purchase, right? If you have excess cash, you pay off your loan, the balance, right? The interest rate won't reduce. Understand? If you have excess cash, you try to pay off a bit of your hire purchase loan, you pay off a bit of personal loan, the interest rate will still be the same every month, right? So it gives you little reason to partially settle your loan. If you excess cash, you have to fully settle the loan. Okay, then it could have some rebate. Okay, but housing loan, the more you deposit, the more you pay back, the next month, the interest rate will reduce. So that's something that you need to know. If you access cash, so this is something that one of the things that you can do. Okay. Now, so I'm done with the housing loan, right? That leads me to the next question. If you wanted to buy a brand new computer, should you save up for it or just use your credit card? Okay. Save or credit card type. A lot of you say save, right? You are very smart, right? Yes. Okay. Actually, the real answer is depends. Okay. The real answer is depends. Let's say the computer costs you 5,000 ringgit. And if you know that you can pay off the 5,000 ringgit a computer, all right, you love a MacBook, right? And buy a MacBook, costs you 5,000 ringgit, and you know that you can pay back within 30 days, okay? Then you can use credit card. If you know you cannot pay off the computer within 30 days, you can only afford the minimum balance of the credit card, then you save for the computer. You don't buy it now, okay? You save to buy the computer, right? So 3 things to know about credit card is that you check the interest rate, okay? 1.5% a month is actually 18% a year. Like what I told you, you must pay off your credit card loans in full, okay? Because your banks will tell you, you pay the minimum balance is okay, okay? Because if you pay the minimum balance, your credit score is still 0 because you pay, but you can't pay off all that. You pay, so your credit score will be good, maintained, okay? That's at least you should do. The least you should do is to pay the minimum balance, okay? But that is not what we recommend. We recommend you to pay off your credit card loans in full every single month without missing it, okay? Because if you only pay minimum balance, let's say you spend 3,000 ringgit on a credit card, okay, 5,000 ringgit on a credit card to buy the computer, right? You pay only 500 ringgit, and the 4,005 ringgit will be in the form of debt, right? And you will be charged interest 18% a year. So, and then next month you compound. Then next month you only pay the minimum amount. Then you compound. Then next month you compound. So it will take you so much longer for you to clear out debt. In fact, your debt in the credit card, right, will be so much bigger than your cash balance in your bank account. All right. So every month we don't just pay the minimum balance. We got to pay the amount in full. Okay. So that's how we should use credit card. That's the smart way of using credit card. Okay. The last interest rate that you want to the last debt that you want to incur is credit card debt, right? It's because the interest rate is bloody high, 18% a year. Okay. And remember, credit card is also charged on the reducing balance. So if you have excess cash, seek to pay off your credit card loan first. All right. So 5 things to keep in mind when dealing with loans. Okay. Like what I've told you, okay, your total loan repayment should be less than 40% of the income. Check whether is it a flat interest rate or reducing balance interest rate. Then if it's a flat interest rate, check whether what is the effective interest rate. Always ask for product disclosure sheet, and timely repayments help to maintain a good credit score. All right. So I'm now done with the personal finance. So let me move on to investing insights. Okay. So now after you learn, how to save money, then it's time for you to learn how to invest. Okay. Now when we talk about money management, the first thing we know is how to earn money, how to save money, how to borrow money, which I talk about managing that, right? Then next thing is how to grow our money. Okay, how to grow our money. Investing is one way for us to grow our money. Okay, so what exactly is investment? Okay, now I'm sure that investment is not something that you have learned as of now. Maybe your school have taught you a little bit about money, but investment is something that could be out of your league yet at the moment, unless your parents teach you. So when I talk about investing, right, a lot of people have no idea how does it work. Okay, how does it work? So, and they always seek, they seek information, okay, from their friends. They ask their friends, okay, what to buy and so on. Even for working adults, right, when they want to buy asset, right, they often rely on their peers, okay, to tell them what to buy. Okay, how do they grow their wealth? Okay, or they go to the forum. Then they do the rely on hearsay, right? Whatever people say they buy because they belong to a crowd. They feel safer. This is herd mentality. Okay, but when it comes to investing, the truth is that you can't have this herd mentality, because when you have a herd mentality, you must realize that the majority are always wrong. Okay, when it comes to investing, right, the majority are always wrong, right? It's the minority that makes the most of the money. Okay, so in seeking information, you must always rely from reputable sources and reliable sources. For example, you want to do stock investing, then go to Bursa Malaysia, okay, as an exchange, right, to get the information from Bursa Malaysia source, right? And that is more information. That's credible information, because whatever the public listed company want to announce to the public, they have to do the disclosure and the public announcement at Bursa Malaysia. So you go to Bursa Malaysia, you'll be able to find all the listed announcement. Okay, so don't just rely on tips, right? Okay, go to reliable sources for you to get the information. So what's the difference between saving and investing? Now, saving is you set aside money for a future purchase. You're able to access quickly with little or no risk. That's why I always recommend you to have at least 6 months of cash savings. Anything more than that could be invested. Okay, so investing is where you're able to make money through investment in bonds, stocks, or real estate. Okay, and to achieve your long-term goals, right? So investing is more on achieving your long-term goal. You must learn how to grow your money. Okay, now do you all want to be rich and wealthy in the future? Okay, if yes, you type yes in the chat box and let me know. Okay, now if you want to be rich and wealthy in the future, you must learn about investing. Okay, is saving alone enough? Actually, not really. Okay, because saving is to save you from being poor, not to make you rich. Okay, if you don't want to be poor, you must save. But if you want to be rich, you must learn to invest. Okay, that's the truth. Okay, so let's say this saving account give you 2% per annum, and you put 200 ringgit at it. Okay, 10 years later, your interest will be 243 ringgit. 80 cents. But if you can invest in REITs, right? REITs stand for Real Estate Investment Trust, and that pays 6% dividend year a year. Your 200 ringgit will earn about 358 ringgit and 17 cents 10 years later. Okay, so that's the difference. Okay, so when the amount is bigger, then you see the return is even much bigger, right? So always, know how much is expected return from this investment. Okay, so if you want to be rich and wealthy in the future, you must learn about investing. Saving alone is definitely not enough. So why do we invest? Okay, there are a few reasons. Number one, increase our current income. Number two, achieve our financial goals. I'm sure that many of you have your goals, right? You have dreams. You want to buy a big car in the future. You want to buy a big house in the future. Investing can help you to achieve that. Okay, improve your standard of living. Okay, I'm sure that you want to live better, right? You want to afford the lifestyle better. You want to repay. You want to be good to your parents, right? You want to improve the standard of living as well. So you must learn to invest. And we want to prepare for retirement. You want to live a rich quality life, then you must learn how to do investment. So why is investing important? Because if you don't invest, especially in the current landscape, where anytime when economic woes happen, the central banks will resort to printing a lot of money. So when they do printing a lot of money, then it will cause inflation. And sometimes it will cause hyperinflation. And inflation erodes the value of money. Okay. And if you don't invest, if you just save, then inflation is your number one enemy. But if you're an investor, then you're very smart. Because why? If investors love inflation, because as things get more and more expensive, so are the asset prices. The asset prices will get higher and higher. So that's when you can see that your money will compound. Okay, inflation. So the question here is, do you want inflation to be your friend or your enemy? If you want inflation to be your friend, then you become an investor. If you're just a saver, inflation would be your enemy. Okay, but I'm not discouraging you all not to save. Okay, I'm just saying that if you don't want to be broke, you must save. Okay, and you need to save at least 6 months of your salary into your, as I say, emergency fund. Right, anything excess of that can be invested. Okay, and that you let your money to work hard for you. If you don't want to work hard for money for the rest of your life, you must learn how to let your money to work hard for you. So, and we can also talk about when it comes to investing, if you want to get a stable return, you must have diversification. And we can do diversification through many different asset classes. We have shares, we have foreign markets, we have real estate, we have other form of currency, we have fixed deposit, unit trust, gold, and so on. So we have a lot of asset classes for you to diversify your risk. So if you build a diversified portfolio, you'll be able to grow your wealth consistently. Okay, if you have all your money into one stock, if you have all your money into one asset class, then if anything happens to the asset class, then it will be very volatile. All right. So what are questions to ask before making an investment? Okay. So typically the question you should ask is, what types of return can I expect? Okay. Am I expecting 5% return a year from this asset class, or am I expecting 15% a year from this asset? Okay. What kind of risk is involved? Okay. When I buy this asset, okay, do I have what kind of risk? Business risk, legal risk, credit risk, market risk, liquidity risk. Okay, what kind of factor will cause the asset price to change? So these are things that you must know. How quickly can I get my money back if I need it? Okay, and that's very important, because sometimes if you invest in the asset that is illiquid and you need the money now, it will take you 6 months before you can take back the money, and it defeats all the purpose. And then you got stuck. You cannot take your money back, right? What do? You could resort to go to take personal loan, and it is very expensive. Okay, let's say personal loan charge you 15% return a year. Your investment can only grow you 7 to 8% a year. Then you see, you actually incur double more costs, right? So you must know, if you need the money back very soon, you invest in assets that are liquid. If you don't need the money for very soon, right, then you can invest in assets that are a little bit more illiquid. How can I reduce your risk? It's very important. Okay, we must always learn, how do I reduce the risk? Okay, One way to reduce the risk is to do diversification. Okay, you don't put all your egg in one basket. If you put all your eggs in one basket, then your risk will be much bigger. Okay. So before we talk about investment, let's define investment. Now, how many of you here know who this gentleman is? If you know who this gentleman is, right, you type his name in the chat box. Okay, this gentleman is famous for three things. The first thing he's famous for is he's a teacher to Warren Buffett. He taught Warren Buffett how to do investing when Warren Buffett was studying in Columbia Business School. Now, Warren Buffett was the world's most successful investor. Okay, he is the richest person in terms of investor lah. All right. So he taught Warren Buffett investing. Number two, he's famous for being the founding father of value investing. Okay, he teach people how to do value investing. He even coined the term value investing. Okay. Number three, he is famous for writing the book, co-authoring the book called Securities Analysis. He wrote the book Securities Analysis in the Great Depression in the 1930s and he became famous. Basically, the book tried to encourage people to invest in the stock market instead of the bond market. Yes, many of you have got it right. His name is none other than Mr. Benjamin Graham. Okay, yes, that's right. Benjamin Graham. Wow, you all are very smart, right? So Benjamin Graham, in his book Securities Analysis, came up with this quote. That's how he defined investment. He said that investment operations is one which, upon thorough analysis, promises safety of principal and an adequate return. Operation not meeting these requirements are speculative. Okay, so there are three keywords here. How many? Three, right? The first keyword is thorough analysis. When you do investment, not only are you expected to do an analysis, you are expected to do it thoroughly. You want to do it in depth. You want to understand what exactly is it all about. Okay, what this asset class is all about, what this product or investment is all about. You must know exactly, not just scratching the surface. You must know exactly, thoroughly, in detail. Okay, you must conduct your due diligence thoroughly. Number two, safety of principal. When you park your money with the party, right? Is your investment safe? Are they licensed? Okay, will they run away with your money? So this is the second keyword. The third keyword is adequate return, because we are not doing charity, right? We are not doing philanthropic work. When we park away our hard-earned money with an asset, we expect yields, right? We expect returns, and it got to be reasonable. Okay, so these are the three keywords in investing. That's how he defined investment. If any of them missing, right? Any of them missing, it become two. You're not investing, you're speculating, right? In any time in your investing, must at least do these three things. Okay, you must conduct a thorough analysis. You must ensure a safety of principle there. You must be able to get an adequate return. All right, so that's how he defined investment. Any one of them missing, you're gambling. So understand an investor. Okay, now if you ask me what kind of strategy or portfolio is good for you, actually, there's no perfect portfolio for you. Everyone is unique and different. You must know your risk preference and appetite. Okay, how much risk can you take? That's a primary consideration. Okay, if you are a risk taker, then you can go for higher risk products, right? You can go for futures, you can go for tradings, you can go for options and so on. Okay, if you're a low risk taker, you can go for low risk item. Okay, you can go for blue chip stocks, you can go for fixed deposit, okay, and so on. So you must know your risk. The last thing you want to do is you invest in an asset that is different from your risk profile. Okay, let's say you're a risk taker, but you only save your money in fixed deposit that's good, earning at 3% a year. Then you will feel that it's very slow lah. Okay, if you are a low risk taker and you go to trade options, you go to trade futures, right? You trade the penny stock. Wow, then it becomes super high risk, and at night you cannot sleep. When at night you cannot sleep, you have stress, right? Then it actually create, pressure and strain on you, and it causes you a lot of health problem. Okay, and you don't want that. Okay, you don't want, because of investing, you have insomnia. All right, so that's what we want to avoid. So must know your risk preference. Then next thing you must know is your time horizon. Okay, how long you want to stay invested. If you want to stay invested for a long period of time, you do investing. If you want to need the money very fast, then you put in liquid product, or you can do trading. Okay. Then next, you must know how much capital you have for investing, right? how much capital you have. Some of you here may have a larger amount of capital, or then you can go for a different asset class. If you have low amount of capital, then you can go for lower amount of asset class. Okay, and you must also know your investing objective. Do you invest? You want to invest for retirement? You invest for your children education, or invest to get an income? Then you must know, you want to get an income, you can do trading. Okay, you can do swing trading or medium-term trading. You want to build your wealth, then you can do investing. Okay, you want to build a safety net, you can do a safer model of investing. So these are a few things that you must know. Okay, your objective, your investing objective, your risk preference, time horizon, and amount of capital that you have. So where can you invest? Of course, there are a lot of asset classes you can invest, right? And today I will just focus on stocks. Okay, and this is Bursa Malaysia. And Bursa Malaysia is actually a listed company. Okay, and as a commercial entity, Bursa Malaysia is also focused on creating shareholder value for us. Okay, and the Bursa Malaysia, as a listed entity, it operates an exchange. Bursa, whatever stocks that are listed on the exchange are actually listed on Bursa Malaysia. Okay, if they are listed locally in Malaysia, there's only one stock market in Malaysia, and that is Bursa Malaysia. Okay, so if you want to buy listed company shares, you can only buy it through Bursa Malaysia. Okay, so all buyers and sellers of listed securities are all gathered at one place, and that's at Bursa Malaysia. So Bursa Malaysia, as a market operator, they provide facilities and infrastructure for capital raising. If you want to raise money, let's say I have a Sendirian Berhad, okay, and my Sendirian Berhad is called Life Chance Sendirian Berhad, and one day I want to list. I don't want to become a Sendirian Berhad. Okay, for example, if you want to buy a share from Sendirian Berhad, right, it's not easy. You can come to me and say, Shane, I want to buy a company share, right? I will tell you, what value would you want to add to my company? What do you bring to the table? I'm going to ask you these questions. Okay, so to buy my share, you need my permission. You need the owner's permission. But to buy shares from to buy listed company shares from the exchange, you don't require the shareholders' permission. You can easily buy, easily sell. Okay, so for example, one day I decided that I want to sell my company. I want to list it on the exchange and sell half of my company to the public to buy, right? So I sell it through Bursa Malaysia and as a form of capital raising, because I want to use this money to expand the business. I want to expand it to Singapore. I want to expand it to Thailand, to Indonesia, to China, to London, to Australia, and so on. So I need capital. So I decided to list my company on Bursa Malaysia to access the capital. So that's one thing that Bursa Malaysia provide. Okay, they provide a capital fundraising avenue for owners like us to get capital. Okay, and when we do that, we change our company to become a listed company. When we become a public company that's listed on the exchange, then we are subject to all the listing requirements. Okay, we can do public disclosures for all the material things that happen in our company. So the second role Bursa Malaysia play is as a frontline regulator. Okay, Bursa Malaysia enforces rules and regulations on listed company and their intermediaries. So they act as a provider of a fair, efficient, liquid, and transparent marketplace. So that's the second role of Bursa Malaysia. So what exactly are shares, right? Like I've shared with you, shares are a piece of ownership of a company. When you buy and sell shares, you're actually transacting a piece of ownership of a company's. Okay, so but shares of listed company are easily sold on the exchange, so you can actually buy them on Bursa Malaysia. So when you buy shares, you actually are entitled. So long as you got one lot of the shares, you are legally an owner of the company. You don't need to own the entire company. You just need to own one lot. One lot means 100 units of share, right? So if you own one lot of shares, you're legally an owner of the company. Then you're entitled to the voting rights at the annual general meetings or any general meetings that they call, right? You can vote to pass resolution. You can vote against resolution. And you have sufficient vote, right? You can nominate yourself as board director, okay? For example, okay? So as an owner, right, you have a lot of perks, right? Sometimes if you just buy one lot of, let's say, capital A, Okay, capital A means Air Asia, right? So next time you go to school, right, you can say, I'm an owner of Air Asia. Okay, which is true, right? You own one lot of share in Air Asia, right? But you can also say that, you're an owner of Air Asia. It's not wrong for you to say that. Okay, you're just one of the shareholders of Air Asia. So long that you buy a share, you are legally an owner of the company. You're legally an owner, one of the owners of the company. Okay. So when you buy and sell share, right? Okay, you can have passive income. Okay, and passive income happens when the companies, declares dividend to you. When a company makes profit and they declare the profit to you, and that's called dividend. And that's when you have passive income. Okay, passive income is such a cool thing. If you have built sufficient size of the passive income, then you could be financially free, right? So let's say you have a 1 million ringgit worth of portfolio, and your 1 million ringgit worth of portfolio is paying you 6% dividend yield a year. If you live a simple lifestyle, 6% dividend a year would be sufficient for you to live your life, okay, without having to work very hard, right? Because 6% of 1 million will mean about 60,000 ringgit a year. And if you split the 60,000 ringgit a year in dividend income into 12 months, on average, 1 month you get 5,000 ringgit. If you live a simple lifestyle, then 5,000 ringgit would be sufficient, okay, to pay for your lifestyle in Malaysia. Okay, but if you live, a big lifestyle, you drive a big car, you live in a big house, then of course you should aim to have more. Okay, 5,000 ringgit passive income may not be enough to sustain your life yet. All right, so there's beauty about investing because you get passive income. Okay, and the next thing you get, you can get capital gain. Capital gains happen when you buy low and sell high. Okay, so that's how to make money in the stock market, right? You buy low and you sell high. Okay, another way to make money is you buy high and sell higher. Okay, you buy high and sell higher. That's trading. You do breakout trade, right? You buy high, the market go up already. You buy high, then you aim to sell higher. That's how you make money. Okay, so there are a few ways. Okay, you buy low, sell high, make money. Buy high, sell higher, make money. And then you can get passive income. So these are how to make money in the stock market, right? So to buy and sell stocks, you can't go to Air Asia and say, Tan Sri Tony Fernandez, I want to buy a share. You can't, right? You can't go to Bursa Malaysia and say, I want to buy Air Asia shares. You also can't, right? You have to go through a stockbroker. Okay, so neither the company nor Bursa Malaysia are able to sell the share to you. Okay, you got to buy through a stockbroker. So what exactly is a stockbroker? Stockbrokers are all these licensed financial firms, okay, that help you to transact shares. So they facilitate buying and selling. They provide you online and offline trading platform. Nowadays, if you're young, right, you typically use an online trading platform. Gone are the days where you have to dial to your remisiers. You say, hey, help me to buy this, 10 lots, okay? No longer need to. But if you still want to do offline, okay, but offline, they charge you a slightly higher transaction fee. You do it online, you do everything yourself, then the fee is much lower. Okay, so one of the roles of stockbroker is to ensure adequacy of funding, and they also have a proper corporate governance. Okay, so these are stockbrokers. So on Bursa Malaysia right now, you're seeing that there are 23 participating organizations, okay, or brokers. Sometimes there are more, sometimes there are less, okay, depending on whether there are new company who acquire the capital market services license. Okay, so as a moment, so these are the 23 participating brokers. Some of the logos here could be no stranger to you, like some of the bank's logo you see here, right? Could be no stranger to you, right? So you'll see their logo everywhere. So you can walk into their bank and say, I want to open a stock trading account. You'll be able to facilitate that. Okay. So some of the logos are very familiar with these are the big investment banks. Okay. Big investment banks are the banks that can help you to become your stockbroker, stock agent. But there are also logos that you may not have seen before. These are the smaller securities firm, right? Smaller securities firm that can also help you to transact the shares. Okay. So if you already have, if somehow rather in the future you open a stock trading account and the logo is not on this page, right? Then you better quickly withdraw money and run because they could be unlicensed. Okay. there are a lot of unlicensed brokers in Malaysia, and that's where you need to pay attention. Okay, if you park your money with an unlicensed broker, Securities Commission cannot protect your money. Okay, if you park money with a licensed broker, then it will be considered as, you know, there's at least a safety of principle, because these brokers are licensed by Securities Commission to carry out capital market services activities. Okay, so for a list of the brokers, you can go to www.bursamarketplace.com to find out. So how does a stock trading work? Okay, for example, this is you, and this is a company, and you want to buy a company, right? You study the company fundamental, you study the charts, right? You realize that this is a great company and it's selling at a cheap price. You want to buy a good company at a cheap price, so that's what you do. Okay, let's say you want to buy ABC Coal at 90 cents per share. You want to buy 1,000 shares. So how much it will cost you? Okay, you will buy 1,000 units of these shares, which means 10 lots. It will cost you 900 ringgit. But there are also transaction fee involved, and the transaction fee for Bursa Malaysia is actually very low. Okay, if you compare to buy other asset class, like you buy property, you buy unit trust, okay, the transaction fee is much higher. Okay, so for Bursa Malaysia, it's only brokerage fee, let's say, is 0.3%. Okay, the minimum 12 ringgit. Okay, so you take 0.3% times 900 ringgit. You notice that no, it is much lower. So they will charge you 12 ringgit. Minimum you need to pay is 12 ringgit. Okay, so whichever is higher, they charge either is 0.3% or minimum 12 ringgit, whichever is higher. So the brokerage fee is paid to your broker, stock broker. It could be Maybank, could be other banks. Okay, clearing fee is paid to the stock exchange. Okay, 0.03%. So in total you pay 0.27 cent. Stamp duty is 0.1%. You pay stamp duty to the government. Okay, 1 ringgit, right? So in total you pay 913 ringgit to acquire 913 ringgit 27 cents to acquire 1,000 unit worth of shares in the ABC Coal. Okay, and when the ABC Coal makes profit, they give dividend to you, and you entitle the dividend. Okay, let's say the dividend is 1 cent per share. Okay, because you have 1,000 shares, then you get a dividend of 10 ringgit. Okay, let's say, okay, 1 cent per share, sorry, 1 ringgit. Okay, so that's how you can get dividend, because if you invest more, then you can have more dividends. Okay, so let's say the share price of the ABC Corp go up, because why? Because they know they deliver good result, they have a higher amount of sales, they have higher amount of profit this year, and investor like the stock, they rush in to buy the stock. So the stock price from 90 cents go up to 1 ringgit 90 cents. Okay, and you decided that it's time for you to sell because you think that it may be a bit fully valued already. You want to sell the share, so you sell a share at 1 ringgit 90 cents. Okay, remember, you buy at 90 cents, you sell 1 ringgit 90 cents. How much money you make? You make 1,000 ringgit gross profit, right? So, but because there are transaction costs incur when you sell. When you buy, you have transaction costs. When you sell, you also need to pay transaction costs. So the cost of that is also the same. Okay, but because the share price have gone up, it become 1 ringgit 90 cents. You times 1,000 share, you got 1,900 ringgit minus all the transaction costs, right? Brokerage fee, clearing fee, and stamp duty. You actually get back 1,885.43. Okay, so your net profit is therefore 900 ringgit 72 ringgit and 16 cents. So net profit is the difference between your sell settlement, how much money you take back when you sell. You may not take back 1,009 because you have transaction cost, right? You may take back 1,800 something. And how much money you pay, which is 900 something. So your net profit is, after minus all the transaction costs, is 972 ringgit and 16 cents. So that's typically how to buy and how to sell and how much cost it incur. Okay, so understand the terminologies, right? When you buy and sell shares, you can't buy a singular unit. You need to buy a bought lot. A bought lot typically means 100 shares. Okay, for dividend, what it means is that the money paid to shareholders from the company's profit. When the companies declare the profit to the shareholders, it is called dividend. And then you have contract notes. Contract notes is a transaction statement. Your broker will present to you the contract notes. Then you also have commission charges. Okay, you got brokerage fee, stamp duty, and clearing fee, and also SST. Okay, SST is imposed on the brokerage fee. Then you also have the CDS statement. What is CDS statement? CDS statement represents the ownership and movement of stock. CDS statement is a statement that is taken care of by Bursa Malaysia. So when you buy a shares, in the past, when you buy a share, they will issue you a share certificate or a share script. Okay, and it's a paper form. But if your house is flooded, if you live in a landed area and it's a flood-prone area, and when the house is flooded, then your share script will be gone, right? It will be flooded. So in this case, now Bursa Malaysia turned it to become electronic format. Okay, when you buy and sell shares, your shares will be kept on the CDS statement, and CDS statement keep tracks of the shares. Whatever shares you have is keep track in CDS statement. Okay, and when you sell the share, then the share will leave the CDS statement. When you buy the shares, then the new ownership of share will come to a CDS statement. And one person can have multiple CDS statements. Okay, when you open an account with Maybank, you have CDS account that's part with Maybank. If you open an account with RHB Bank, then you have another CDS account with RHB Bank. So a person is allowed to have multiple CDS account. All right. So just now I talked briefly about transaction costs. Okay, so these are the few transaction costs that you may incur when you buy and sell shares. Okay, so stamp duty is the one that you pay to the government. It's 0.1%, minimum 1 ringgit, max is 1,000 ringgit. Okay, it has to be round up to the nearest ringgit. It's paid to the government. Clearing fee is paid to Bursa Malaysia. It is 0.03%. Maximum cap is 1,000 ringgit. Brokerage fee is the only variable. Some broker charge you higher amount, some broker charge you low amount. Yeah, so it depends on the broker you pick. So typically, when you pay higher amount, you will expect more service. They will do more work for you. They will carry a key in order. 0.6% usually is for offline transaction. You dial to your broker, you say, I want to buy this stock. They will charge you 0.6%. Typically, if you do online trading, if for cash account is 0.1% only, it's very low. Typically, it's 0.1%. But sometimes they may charge you a house rate, but the house rate is usually for margin account or collateralized account is usually 0.42%. So brokerage fee is the only thing that is different. Sometimes it's lower, sometimes it's higher, depending on what kind of accounts you open and what type. Is it a cash account or is it a margin or collateralized account? Okay. So these are 3 things you need to pay. On top of that, you can pay SST on the brokerage fee. So Bursa Malaysia has, for the securities market, for the stock market, it has 3 main markets. Okay, these are 3 main markets where company can choose to get listed. Okay, for much bigger company, they will get listed on the main market. Okay, so there are about 700 over stocks on a main market. So this is where the big companies like Maybank, Public Bank, Tenaga Nasional Berhad, so they're all listed on main market. And main market, they have their listing requirement. Okay, we can refer to Bursa Malaysia to find their listing requirement. If you are much smaller, you're not as big as Maybank, you are much smaller, okay, you can go for ACE market. ACE market is for a new company which might not have large capital like companies in the main market, but they still have a strong product or service portfolio which, if given more capital, would surely succeed, right? You can list on ACE market. Okay. And then there's also another market. Okay, ACE market at the moment has about 100 over stocks. Okay, and LEAP market, right? It's even smaller than the ACE market, right? Now you only have 40 over stock to 50 stocks. Okay, so it is meant for SME, small and medium enterprises and companies to raise fund. Okay, for example, my company is small, right? LifeChain is small, so we can opt to list on the LEAP market if I want. Okay, so it's potential SME companies, intermediaries, and qualified sophisticated investor onto a single platform to create a conducive marketplace for fundraising. If you are a retail investor, you can freely invest in stocks that are listed on the main market or listed on the ACE market. However, you cannot simply buy stock on the LEAP market. To buy and sell stock in the LEAP market, you need to be a qualified, sophisticated investor. Because why? Because these companies are small companies. Okay, probably market cap only 10 million or lower. Okay, sometimes not big market cap, right? Big companies is in the tens of billions. Okay, these are big companies. They're in billions. Okay, Ace market company could be in hundreds of millions. Okay, 100 million, 200 millions in terms of market capitalization. But for LEAP market, it's much smaller, maybe 1 0 behind. Okay, one short of 1 0. Okay, so these are companies, they are much smaller, so that's why the risk is higher. And the risk is higher, Securities Commission only allow qualified, sophisticated investors, okay, to invest in the LEAP market. So not everybody can freely buy and sell the shares on LEAP market. So LEAP market has don't have much better liquidity as compared to ACE and main market. For retail investors like us, we only focus on main market and the ACE market. So how to pick great companies? Now, to buy investment grade companies, right, you don't need to have rocket science, okay? You don't need to learn rocket science, okay? You don't need to have accounting degree or finance degree. You only need to have common sense, okay? So the first criteria that I look at is you must find a company with consistent profit growth, okay? You want to buy a company which is growing their profit every single year, right? The first year they make 20 million profit, next year they make 30 million profit, following year they make 15 million profit, and last year they make 100 million profit. You want to buy a company that's growing the profit consistently. On the contrary, if a company first year make 100 million profit, next year they make 80 million profit, the following year they make 60 million profit, and the last year they make 20 million profit. Is this company still profitable? Yes or no? Yes, right? Does it show consistent profit growth? The answer is no, right? In fact, they got consistent profit decline. Correct or not? Every year they decline 20 million, right? Is this a company you want to buy? No, right? Like what many of you say, right? No, right? If the company make consistent profit decline, chances are the share price will also decline, right? It will always go down, okay? Because they could be seen as in sunset industry. Share price keep coming down, all right? So you want to avoid companies that have consistent profit decline, but you want to we want to buy a company that have consistent profit growth. So remember, not only do we want to buy a profitable company, we want to buy a company that are growing the profit consistently. Number two, little debt, right? Am I okay if the company got debt? The answer is yes, but I don't like them to have excessive debt. I only want them to have conservative debt financing. Okay, they are conservative debt financing. If they have too much debt, right, then it becomes higher risk. Okay, so because during economy robust period, maybe they'll be able to manage the debt. But if economy recession hit, right, chances are they may not be able to service the debt. And when that happens, the company could be in huge trouble. Right? So we're okay if the company got debt, but cannot have too much debt. Okay. Number three is strong cash flow. The company should have strong cash flow, because if a company got no cash, they can't do a lot of things, right? If a company got no cash, they can't pay your salary. If you can't pay your salary, who works for you? If a company got no cash, they can't pay the landlord. You can't pay a landlord, then where you got, office to work, right? If you can't pay if you don't have cash, you can't pay your supplier. You can't pay a supplier, where you got raw materials, right? So that's what we prioritize. Okay, strong cash flow is very important, because a company can only grow as far as its cash flow allows. If the cash flow doesn't allow, the company cannot grow. Okay. Fourth is increasing dividend. We want to buy a company with higher and higher dividend. Okay, so you want to find a company that gives higher and higher dividend. If you're somebody who loves to have passive income stream, massive amount of passive income stream, then focus on a company that pays more and more dividend every single year. And then, of course, you also need to focus on company board directors and management team. It must consist of capable board directors and management team, because these are the captain of the ship. They sail the ship, right? If the captains are lousy, the ship will also sink like Titanic. So we must ensure that the boards and the management team are experienced and have proven track record to steer the company to the right direction. Okay, so that's how we can pick great companies. Now, of course, our time is very limited about stock market. There will be more questions on stock market. Okay, I'm sure there will be more questions on stock market. So that's how much I can cover today. For more information, right, to help you answer the quiz, you can visit corporate website www.Bursa Malaysia to find out more information about them. You can visit Bursa Marketplace to learn about them. I will talk about that later in the scope of quiz, right? Then Bursa Marketplace, you can also have a lot of quiz, infographic, shorts, courses, and articles for you to do. Then once you complete the short courses, you can also get a certificate, right? So this certificate sometimes can enable you to trade a certain products, okay? For example, to trade a leverage and inverse ETF product, you will need to present this cert to show that you're able to do that. Then once you have this cert, then it's okay, you can trade this product. Okay, some products are a bit sophisticated and it's meant for informed investors only. Okay, if you want to get more information like the investors tool, you can visit www.bursamarketplace.com. Okay, so that leads me to the next agenda. I'm done talking about investing, right? So that leads me to the next agenda, which is financial frauds and scams. Okay, how do we avoid financial frauds and scams? Okay, now every single day there are a lot of scam news. Okay, scam news everywhere, right? Maybe you have not encountered yet, but if you ask your parents, I'm sure that they've encountered one way or another. Okay, my wife in particular have also fallen scam into one of the scam here that I mentioned. Okay, and so that's when she wanted to sell something on Muda. She got scammed to transfer a few hundred ringgit to a person. Okay, so it happens to us. Okay, if you are working adult, chances are they will target you because you have money, right? So every time, okay, it's not unique to Malaysia. Everywhere, okay, whether you live in Malaysia, in Singapore, Australia, United States, right? They are bound to be scam things. Okay, if you take a look at the statistic, according to scamadvisor.com, $55.3 billion was lost through scam, right? And every scam case reported on average cost about $188. In total, there are 293 million scams reported, and 3.6% of the global population were scammed before. Okay, I am somebody who was not scammed before. Okay, I'm very alert. Okay, I know exactly what I'm doing. Okay, so far I have not been scammed before lah. Okay, but there are friends around me that got scammed before. Okay, there are 3.6% people. Okay, if you talk to 100 people, right, 3.6% of them, 3.6 of them will be scammed before. Okay, so in fact, there are some countries which report high growth in online scam, right? So Mexico is one of them, France, Sweden, Israel, and Belgium. Okay, in terms of online scam as a percentage of overall crime, right? In Singapore, 44% of the crimes are online scam. Okay, so that's how big it hit our neighboring country. Okay, in terms of Malaysia, okay, between January and July this year alone, okay, that's 2022 lah. Okay, that's it's a statement given by IGP. 12,000 cases were reported with a loss of 400 over millions. Okay, if this amount was used to channel into our local economy, wow, then you can bring 400 over million growth in terms of GDP, right? 33,000 cyber crime suspects were detained, while 22,000 were brought to court and charged between 2019 and to July 2022. So that's how much scam we had in Malaysia. Okay, now particularly financial frauds are financial transactions for purpose of personal gain. It's definitely a crime and it's also a civil law violation. Okay, it's complicated financial transaction conducted by white collar criminals. Okay, white collar criminals, people who are highly educated, people who are professionally qualified, become scammers. Okay, and they scam all of us. So as in our journey to grow our wealth, we must know how to make sure there's no leak in terms of our wealth, right? Okay, we must know where are the possible leak, okay, in our wealth pot, right? And you got to stop the leak. And one of the leak will be a financial fraud. So you must know how to avoid this leak, how to stop the financial fraud, right? And these frauds are committed by people who are professional, who are trained, and they are white collars. Okay, they are educated, they're highly educated, and they want to scam you. Okay, so we must be aware. All right, in Malaysia, in terms of spam calls that we receive, I got all these calls. Okay, every week I'm bound to receive one or two. Okay, so 41% would scam you in terms of financial services. Okay, and 24%, sorry, 24% would be scam. Okay, so these are spam calls. Out of all the calls in Malaysia, right, 24% are scam. 24% scam. That means there's almost a quarter. There's almost a quarter of the calls. Out of 4 calls that you receive from unknown numbers, 1 call is likely to be a scam. Okay. Sometimes they will pretend as a police officer, pretend to call from Bank Negara, pretend to call from your telco, pretend to call from the tax department, LHDN. Still a lot of these things that happen. Okay. So these are the various types of scam that we must know. Okay. Number 1, identity theft. Okay. Someone steals your personal information and assumes your identity to access your bank account and drains your funds, open your credit cards and take loans. If you happen to leak your IC, your account number, okay, if you have an IC account number, then they can pretend you, okay, or they can dress like you and so on to take out a loan. They can use your IC, okay. The moment the IC can process loan, right? They can take your IC, right? If you leak your IC, right, they know your IC is this number. They take your ICs to take loan, right? They take the loan, then you kena already, okay? So there's identity theft law. They steal your identity. Number 2, credit card and debit card fraud. Somebody steals or finds a credit card. For example, you purchase some things on a bogus website, and this bogus website is not reliable. And once you swipe your card, you key in your credit card information, they store your credit card information. And sometimes they use your credit card information to buy a small purchase, okay, and see whether you stop the card. So they use it to buy $40, 40 euro, okay, spend some money there. If you didn't notice, then they spend more. Then if you still didn't notice, they spend large amount. Then once over, then you can incur the kind of huge loss at one go, right? Let's say $4,000. Wow, that's huge amount of money, right? So remember, don't simply release your credit card information on a bogus website, okay? Next is debt collection fraud, right? They will demand payment of bogus outstanding debt, right? They'll call you and say you owe us money. Then they threaten you. Then you got scared, right? Loan scam, okay? They'll ask victim to upfront payment to process loan, right? Say they ask you to provide debit or credit card as part of the application process, and you foolishly provide your credit card information, then you subject yourself to high risk of loan scam. Investment scam, okay, typically involve huge sum of money with super normal profit within a short period of time. We will talk more about that later. Job scam and employment fraud, right? I often receive this kind of job scam, right, telling me that there are vacancy at TikTok lah and ByteDance lah and so on, right? That pay high fee lah, then ask me to send resume and so on, right? These are all unsolicited requests that reach my WhatsApp, okay, likely to be a job scam, okay, because I never applied for this job, and this job reached out to me offering me a very lucrative payout if I become and apply for the job, right? Then after when you apply, they'll ask you to pay for expensive fee, then you kena already, okay? Microsoft scam, okay, when your PC is infected with malware and they can help to solve the problem. They will do a call with you, they trick you to install software, and the software will compel you to provide information that are private. Social media scam, right? The use of your official brand or logo to trick victim to provide personal information. Okay, they can go to download, for example. I myself has a lot of social media scammers who are impersonating me. Okay, so they go to my social media profile, download my profile, then download my photo and create a new profile, and then go around and add my friends, then ask them for money, right? So they impersonate me to solicit fund. They tell my followers that they have this guarantee return cryptocurrency fund, right? If you ever receive this kind of request from me, chances are it's not me. It's my scammers, because I never solicit fund, because I'm not a licensed person to ask for funds, right? So we can't do that, okay? So to do that, you require a license. So I'm definitely not the person who do that. So there are a lot of people impersonating me, but not only impersonating me, they could impersonate big brands, right? Big persona. Okay, for example, they can impersonate Elon Musk, right? They can impersonate Bursa Malaysia CEO to ask you for, to buy into something. Okay, so we must have this kind of awareness so that you don't fall prey to all these kind of scams. Next, because social media profile is very easily, the more information you disclose on social media, for example, on your Instagram, on your okay, on your TikTok, the more personal information you give them, They can download your photo. They can download you can know where you live, okay, where you go to school. Then they can pretend as you, okay? It can impersonate you. So remember what the information when I put online, okay? Online shopping scam, right? There are a lot of scams that pretend to sell a product to collect information, and the scammer will ask you to pay using alternative payment facilities. Okay, my wife in particular fall into this scam. Okay, she wanted to sell something online, and then she met a fake buyers. Okay, and at the end of the day, she has to pay him money. Okay, so this is some online shopping scam, right? COVID-19 scam also happened. Okay, so of course now we no longer have COVID-19 scam. Huh? So these are different types of scam, right? For in terms of investment scam, there are also a lot, right? There are Ponzi scheme, there are unregulated products, there are overseas holiday properties, there are land banking, forex trading, cryptocurrency scam, profit from rising prices in precious commodities, and so on. So I'll just selectively talk a few because there are just a lot of products that a lot of scams that happen. So how do we spot investment scam? And that's very important. To spot investment scam, right? Usually there are three major types. There are totally fictitious investment which doesn't even exist. The investment exists, but the scammer takes the money. The scammers pretend that they are representing a legitimate organization. So these are the three major types. So you ask yourself, okay, when this happen, which could be the type? Okay, the investment could be totally non-existent. Or the investment can happen, but then they are not licensed person to take the money. So they simply pretend that, oh, I'm a licensed person to distribute this investment to you, but actually they are not. When you park the money with them, they take away your money and run. Okay, and then they pretend that they are representing organization. Okay, so what are the warning signs, right? The company reach out to you out of the blue. Okay, they give you an offer that seems too good to be true. They pressure you to make a decision fast and rapidly. And you ask you, don't reveal this to anybody. Okay, you are in the private list, right? You're the one of the few person that they give you the first scope of information. They will call you and email you frequently to pressure you to make decisions. Okay, and you check they are not a registered entity. So these are the types of the warning signs that will tell you whether this is a scam or this is legit. Okay, some of the common catchphrases that they use. Okay, I will give you half of my commission if you sign up now. There's a bonus if you sign up now. There are only two slots left, and the closing date is soon. Other savvy and experienced investors are already invested in. Believe me, I've been in this field for a long time. I've never failed. I've earned this amount in just a few months and weeks. You can make a lot of money with little risk. The investment is guaranteed to double your money compared to your current investment. Okay, so these are common catchphrases used by them. Okay, so what is a get-rich-quick scheme? Okay, get-rich-quick scheme typically offers high and unrealistic risk and return for a small amount of investment. If the offer is too good to be true, it often advertised through spam or cold calling. If you think that the offer is too good to be true, okay, chances are it is a scam. Okay. Usually this get-rich-quick scheme appeal to the greed. Okay, a lot of these investment scam wants appeal to the greed, right? They want you to get rich quickly, but usually involve high level of risk, but the premise of a gambling industry. So if you long for instant wealth, right, you want to be millionaire next day, then you are the typical victims that they look for. Okay, so that's why you need to be wary, and you need to verify the validity of the promised high returns. Pyramid schemes is another things that could happen to you, because sometimes it's not all multi-level marketings are bad. It's just that you must be able to distinguish the genuine network marketing and the one that's non-genuine, which involve pyramid scheme, right? They ask you to just the fee just from recruitment. They don't have a genuine product. They just do recruitment. They ask you to recruit 6%. Every level you recruit 6%. If every level recruit 6%, but at level 13, right, you run off the world population already. Okay, so you must remember, when you are recruited into any network marketing teams, you must be able to distinguish, are these genuine network marketers or these are pyramid scheme, okay, which don't have a genuine products, or they have a lousy products which are unproven, but they ask you to recruit people. The primary focus is to recruit people. They hardly talk about the products. They always ask you to recruit people. Chances are this will be a pyramid scheme. And if you recruit people under you, you are likely to cause them a financial distress. So don't do that. Not only will it cause financial distress to yourself, it will also cause financial distress to the people that you love, whom you have recruited. So beware of pyramid scheme. Okay, Ponzi scheme. Ponzi scheme is named after Charles Ponzi. It is a con artist in the United States and Canada, known in the early 20s. So he duped thousands of investors in 1990 and promising high returns from discounted postal reply coupons due to fluctuation in postal prices. So the modus operandi is always recruitment based, because they always want to recruit people. Fraudsters do not invest the money, they use it to pay those who invested earlier. Okay, if I recruit people, every downline you recruit, right, I got the money, so I pay you the fee for the recruitment based on the downline's fee that they pay to me. Okay, so Ponzi scheme is one of them. Okay, land banking schemes is another one, right? And they ask you to invest in the plot of lands, okay, very far away. Okay, it could be in Canada, in the Virgin Islands, okay, in Bahamas, okay, very far away. Typically involved is near urban area or close to the zone that have been allocated for development. So victims are told once planning permission has been granted and profit can be made. In reality, there's often no development potential. Okay, because if you do land banking investment, right, they want to acquire lands, they ask you to invest. You would not fly to Canada, fly to Virgin Islands, fly to Bahamas to see the lands, right? You will not visit, let's say it's oil field. You want to visit the oil field, right? So it could be a scam, which you don't know. Okay, so this could be a land banking scam. Okay, Macau scam is another one, right? Macau scam is where a suspect calls a victim and pretends to be a bank or police officer. When they call you, they will pressure you, then ask you to transfer. They'll pressure you, right? Or you need to call this department to solve this problem. You got yourself into this kind of shit, right? You got to call this department to address the mess that you created. Then you will panic. Okay, you have no idea what happened. Okay, you're never involved in this kind of situation. You're never in drugs. Okay, you're never in all this kind of thing, right? So you get worried. So you call. Then say, okay, to solve your problem, you have to pay this fine, this amount. If you don't pay, then you could take you to the court, right? Then you go worry. You consider the fine is not so big, right? Then you pay them. Okay, so this is Macau scam. All right, this is the MO, modus operandi. Love scams, okay, love scam, okay. A lot of people who are okay craving for love, companion, would fall into this. Okay, how they do this is that you will study your profile and digital footprint. Okay, so whether on Facebook, Instagram, they check what you like, and then they adopt the online personas to fit the kind of person that you like. They gain the trust through grooming. They are well dressed. Okay, they are well groomed. Then they will tell you that, I work in the oil rig, so you can't meet me. I'm in the military, I'm in the army, I'm in the navy, right? I'm a doctor with an international organization, so I fly around. So the telltale sign is they always tell you, I love you very quickly, right? They claim to be overseas for business, they plan to visit, but because they can't, they really miss you, but they can't visit you because of emergencies. They got to fly there to treat this kind of illness, right? Or they are ill. They'll tell you, I'm ill, right? I got this thing, I need to do operation. Then now they ask you for money. So they ask you to pay for plane tickets for overseas expenses. They ask you to pay for the surgery. They ask you to pay for a custom fee to retrieve something. They ask you to pay off gambling debt. Hey, if you love me, you'll do anything for me, right? They pay for a visa or other official travel documents to come to see you. So scammers ask you to pay by wiring money or relook cards from vendors such as Amazon and Google Play. All right. So if you are in love scam, okay, stop communicating with the person. If you don't trust the person, please don't trust any person you have never met. Okay, do a Google search, okay, and see whether have anybody come across this before. Okay, here are a few avenues for you to complain. You can lodge a complaint with MCMC. Okay, if you have for example, somebody impersonate me, I also lodge a complaint with police. I also lodge a complaint with MCMC. But of course, they can't do much, right? Because the scammers could be out in Cambodia, could be out in Nigeria, right? Could be out in other part of Africa country, for example. It could be from Singapore, right? From any developed country as well. So, but the least you can do is to lodge the complaint so that they're aware of this. Okay, I lodge a police report for people who impersonate me to solicit funds. Or you can, if for consumer for getting a fake products, you can lodge a complaint with KPDN. Okay, for financial related, right, you can lodge a complaint with Bank Negara or highlight to Securities Commission. All right. So basically, these are the 4 behaviors that scammers target. They appeal to fear. Okay, the scammers will pretend to be a law enforcement officer or from authoritative agencies to cause you into fear. Okay, they are your tax, right? You owe your tax, you got summon, you got to pay your summon. So they appeal to fear. Ignorance, they appeal to ignorance. These are investment scams or scams that involve banking related matters, online shopping scam. If you're ignorant, then you may fall into this kind of scam. Gullibility, okay, you're easily persuaded. Okay, these are love scam, Nigerian scam, snake oil scam, travel package scams. And the appeal to greed, right? Investment that promise supernormal returns in a short period of time. These are get rich quick scheme, lottery scam, pyramid scam. So you want to be rich in fast. You want to become millionaire overnight. That's when you are the typical profile that they want to target. Okay, fear, ignorance, gullibility, and greed are the 4 basic behaviors that scammers target. And sometimes you will receive spoof call. Okay, so to differentiate between spoof and non-spoof call, you can also install these true callers in your phone. So when this call, right, then you know this is a spam call. All right. So I've just concluded the sensibility module. Okay, so I have 10 minutes left to tell you about the scope of the information. So the sensitive, just now we have covered is that we are talking about personal finance, managing debt. Okay, talk about different kind of cards. Okay, different kind of loans. We'll talk about investing insights, what investing is all about, what is stock investing all about. The quiz will only quiz you about stock investing. It won't quiz you property. Okay, quiz you stock investing. Then third, we talk about how to avoid financial frauds, right? So we have covered the basic pillars of the sensibility module. So let me just move on to the scope of the Bursa Investment Challenge. Tell you more about the scope. Okay, what is the challenge is all about? But I'm sure you have read the T&C, right? I just go through briefly about the preliminary round. During the preliminary round, what we'll quiz you is on financial literacy. We ask you things that you know in financial literacy. So we won't ask you about investing yet. We ask you financial literacy. So suggested reading materials would be sensibility, right? So we'll only ask you 20 questions. They are all multiple choice. There are 20 seconds to answer each question, and we target about 1,000 contestants. But only 200 people will get into semi-final. Okay, in a semi-final, what we'll quiz you is stock market and investment literacy. We'll start to ask you things about stock market and ask you things about investment. So the suggested reading material would be Bursa Academy and sensibility. Okay, there will be 25 multiple choice question there. Okay, so time to answer each question is 20 seconds. So in a grand finale, the scope of quiz will be equities market and investment literacy. Why we call it equity market? Because it involves more than stock. We will probably ask you other products like real estate investment trust, exchange traded funds, and so on. Okay, so it involves more than stocks. Okay, that's why we call it equities market. So suggested reading materials will be from Bursa Malaysia official website, Bursa Academy, Knowledge Center, CDRAC, and Sensibility. Yes, we also ask you CDRAC, which is the Securities Industry Dispute Resolution Center. Okay, so these are the reading materials. Okay, so in grand finale, we will have 50 finalists there, and that's where you have these 50 people have to read more stuff. Okay, so 50 multiple choice question, and each question is 20 seconds. Okay, so these are the study materials link. Okay, you can go to www.bursamalaysia.com official website, or you can go to Bursa Academy Equity section, go to Knowledge Center, which is at Bursa Academy, go to Sensibility, is also at Bursa Academy, and go to CDRAC website. Okay, so these are the study materials. Okay, precisely what you study, let me go to the website. Okay, now I'm sure you're looking at my screen, right? I'm sure you're looking at my browser. Okay, for avoidance of doubt, right? Let me just restart the whole process. So this is Bursa Malaysia website. Okay, so if you can go to www.bursamalaysia.com. Okay, you go to the official website. Okay, you will see that there are multiple tabs, right? The one we'll ask you is only Bursa Malaysia and Bursa Academy. Okay, but we are not asking you everything in Bursa Malaysia. We'll be asking you things that is under trade. Okay, under trade, you go to equities, under products. Okay. Okay, you can just read everything under shares, ETF, a bit of warrant, real estate investment trust, closed-end funds, unit trust. Just read a bit under equities. Okay, the rest you don't have to bother. Okay, we'll just ask you equity. That's in grand finale. Okay, of course, if you don't make it to grand finale, this is not important to you lah. So if you make a grand finale, then you can also read about equities here under trading resources. Okay, under trading resources, understand the trading procedure, trading session, trading costs, and so on. Okay, so these are things that we will ask. Okay, under equities, go to the trade, understand the products under equities, understand the process under equities. Okay, so this is in Bursa Malaysia. But we also ask you in Bursa Academy. The things we ask more is sensibility, the one we talk about financial literacy. If you want to make it a semi-final, then you need to understand sensibility more. Okay, you typically need to have a lot of questions correct. You only can make it to the semi-final because out of 1,000 people, we only admit 200 people into semi-final. Okay, so under sensibility, so this is Bursa Academy. Okay, under Bursa Academy, we will not ask you everything. We will only ask you sensibility. If you click sensibility, this is sensibility questions will be asked in the preliminary. Okay, so not only so the question will not just be taken from the presentation that I did just now, but it will also come from the reading materials here. Okay, you can, all the videos here. Okay, watch the videos. Okay, saving to investing, understand what is REITs and so on. Planning and budgeting, okay, understand about that. Handling that, understand about that. Okay, effective interest rate, understand about that. Okay, retirement and so on. Okay, calculator and so on. So just read everything here on the sensibility program that is for preliminary. Okay, so if you make it beyond the preliminary, then we ask you more stock market related question. Okay, in the semi-final, we ask you stock market related question. Then can go to Bursa Academy under equities, right? Go to equities to read up some of the stuff there. Okay, but of course there are a lot of stuff. Okay, for a lot of stuff, if you the essence of the stuff that the essence of the stuff under equities session, right, has already been presented just now. Okay, in the investing insight module. Okay. If you don't want to read so much, then you can rewatch the recordings, okay, that I've just mentioned. Okay, but of course you may also read the stuff under markets, under equities, right? Come here, you can you can read out the articles or watch the videos that are presented here. Okay, so if you make it to the if you make the grand finale, you can also go to, you need to do knowledge center. Okay, read about, there are a few questions on knowledge center, okay, that Bursa designs. So read about what exactly is knowledge center. And then you also have to go to understand CDRAC, okay? CDRAC is a Securities Dispute Resolution Center, okay? So you go to CDRAC website, okay, to understand what exactly is CDRAC, okay? What do they do? Understand the basic concept of CDRAC, okay? What do they do? So these are about a few questions will be taken from CDRAC in the grand finale. Okay, so let me repeat. Okay, in a preliminary round, we only quiz you on financial literacy. So you just read sensibility, okay, or you just remember the materials that I presented just now. In a semi-final, we will ask you more than financial literacy. We'll ask you more on investment literacy. Okay, you will ask you investment literacy. What is stock market? What is stocks? Okay, how does it work? How to make money and so on. In the grand finale, we'll ask you more than the stocks. Okay, we'll ask you investment literacy, but more than investment literacy. We ask you whether you understand real estate investment trust, which I did not manage to present just now. Ask you exchange traded funds. Ask you other products as well. Okay, ask you slightly tougher questions. Okay, so during grand finale, we will also ask you knowledge center and also CDRAC. So make sure you understand what knowledge center and CDRAC. Okay. So these are the study links which I just shown you. How does the flow work? When the competition start, right, contestant will be shown a game pin. Okay. the game pin. So you need to download the Kahoot app, or you have to go to the web browser, www.kahoot.it. You either use your Kahoot app, you could have pre-download an app from the App Store or Google Play. This is the app. Okay, you can download the app, or you can go to the browser to key in the game pin. Of course, this is not the game pin. This is not the real game pin. This is just a fake game pin. Okay, just give you. On that day, we'll give you the real game pin. Okay, you enter the game pin, then you'll see your name on the holding hall. So on the Kahoot website or the app, you enter the game pin presented on the screen. Then you enter your name. You enter your pin. You enter your email address. The email address has to be identical with the email address that you sign up for the contest. Okay. You must ensure that if you use abc@gmail.com to sign up for this Bursa Investment Challenge, you must key in abc@gmail.com at this Kahoot so we can identify you. Okay. Then you key in your real name. You key in your real name. Okay. Even though here it asks you to write nickname, you don't write your nickname. You write your real name. Okay. If your real name, like me, Shane Chu, I write Shane Chu. Okay. Don't write Shane because it's not easy to identify you. Write your real name. But of course, there's a character limit. There's character limit. If your name is too long, right? Too long, like Muhammad something bin something, right? Very long, right? Then you just make sure that you write your first name lah. See how much it can keep. It can contain, right? But make sure the email address is correct. So long as the email address is correct, we'll be able to identify you. Okay. So when the quiz starts, you'll be shown the question. For example, this is a question: what is the Bursa Academy? Then you'll be shown a few answers. Okay. You must pick 4 colors. Okay, there are 4 options here. Sometimes there are true and false questions. Sometimes true and false question means there are only 2 options. Of course, there are also other multiple choice question where you can pick any one answer. Okay, so only 1 attempt is allowed for every contestant. Okay, if you select the answer, if you're correct, you will get this kind of screen. If you're wrong, you get this kind of screen, right? So winning criteria and scoring. Okay, there are a total of 20 questions in the preliminary round. Some are multiple choices question, or some are true and false question. Okay, total 20 questions. You need to strive to answer as many questions correctly as possible in Kahoot quiz. Okay, you have up to 20 seconds to answer each question. No bonus mark will be given for speedy responses in the first round. Okay, if you can take a full 20 seconds to think what would be the correct answer. If you answer fast, also it's the same. There's no bonus point. You don't have to answer fast, right? You can answer it slowly. Take time to think. But you have 20 seconds. I remember, 20 seconds. You don't take more than 20 seconds to answer. You just need to answer within 20 seconds. All right? You don't answer in 1 second, you know. Just take your time to decide, okay, what would be the right answer, but answer within 20 seconds. But in the semi-final onwards, you got to answer fast, because the faster you answer, the more marks will be given to you. Okay, the top 200 contestants, the highest number of correct answer will advance to the semi-final. All right, so that's the idea. So it's approximate. Sometimes it's more than 200, sometimes it's less than 200. Okay, but approximately 200 contestants will advance to the semi-final. Okay. So what are the rules and regulations? I'm sure you have read the T&C. Okay, I've just repeat what are the important. Contestant participating in the BIC other than the registered email address may be disqualified. Okay, so because we cannot identify you, the moment we cannot identify you, we don't know who you are, then you will be disqualified. Contestant must ensure uninterrupted internet connectivity during participation in the Bursa Investment Challenge. You should not request for fresh or continued attempt on grounds of internet connectivity issue. So if during the conduct of the quiz you got internet problem, we can't help lah. I'm sorry. Okay, we cannot restart the quiz because of you, right? No duplicate username is allowed. Okay, if you enter already, if you enter Shane Chu from your laptop, you don't enter Shane Chu again on your mobile device. Okay, if you notice duplicate, right, then we cannot identify you. Okay, participate through only 1 device. Okay, participating on behalf of another person is not allowed. Okay, you cannot ask, your brother to represent you. You cannot. Okay. The organizer reserves the right at its sole discretion to disqualify any contestant that's suspected of committing any forms of frauds. Okay, so what we say is law. If you notice that your entry is suspicious, then we may disqualify you. Okay, JA Malaysia will have the final decisions, okay, as of whether you are advancing to the final round or not. All right, so that is all for today. Okay, any question? So it looks like I have 5 minutes past the time. Is there any mathematical questions, right? There would be calculation questions, but not in the first round. Calculation question would be in semi-final and onwards. Okay, so if you advance to semi-final and onwards, you know, use your remember, have a calculator lah. All right, yes, no question, fantastic, right? Okay, I address question on Q&A. If you allow me, I think we are slightly past time, right? So I will just take a few more questions.
Do you know where to?
Rosha, you want to say something?
Sorry, it's just one question over here. Will you be given additional certificate for a part of the semifinals? No, there will be only one certificate. So if you manage to join and go to the semifinals, we will still give you a certificate and we will show that you attended the webinar, first round, and then semifinals. Okay? So one cert only. Can you refer to the reading materials when answering Kahoot? Shane?
Okay. You have 20 seconds only, so I leave it to you what you want to do. Okay.
Yes, yes. You might not have enough time to refer to the reading materials.
Yeah,
and
make sure you understand. Okay, because to load the browser maybe it will take some time, right? So I see some of you here ask, what is stamp duty? Stamp duty is the money collected by the tax department. Okay, when you buy and sell asset, right, they will charge you a stamp duty. So the tax department will charge you the stamp duty. Okay, it's paid to the government, so as a source of their income. Okay, I answered that question. How do you know whether the business card the stranger give is real or fake? So that depends on your judgment. Okay, we all have common sense, right? You try to relate to what he said, whether has it come across as genuine, does it come across as credible? Then you have, it depends on judgment. Okay, common sense. Okay, some of us here we have instinct, right? When we meet people eye to eyes, right, we see them eye to eye, we know that this guy is a crook, right? So use your instinct. Yes, there will be a collected question. Yes. Okay, I think for the cert, Roshan has already addressed that.
There's one more. Do we have to be in the Zoom meeting while in Kahoot? So this question, yes, you will need to join this Zoom meeting, the Zoom webinar. It will be exactly like today. So the first round of the competition will be on the 29th of July, 2 weeks from today. You will join the same link as today. It's the exact same link as today. You will join this webinar. You will be in the Zoom. And you will be able, once Shane gives the Kahoot ID, you will go to Kahoot, the website, or using your phone, you download the app, go put in the game pin, and then you will be already on the game. You can remain in the Zoom, but I will highly advise you to follow your Kahoot questions, right? So look at your Kahoot, the questions, as and when the questions change, you just keep answering that. Now, there's one more thing I want to remind you. The capacity for our Zoom is only for 1,000 students. So example, right? We have a lot of students who have signed up. We will also be airing this, the first round, the preliminary round on 29th of July, we'll be airing it on our YouTube page as well. So let's say if you come suddenly, the Zoom is full, right? What you need to do is go to YouTube, find for JA Malaysia, and you will see the live streaming over there. But remember, whatever is happening in the Zoom, and whatever is happening on YouTube, there is a 10-second delay. So when you join the Kahoot, if you're looking at YouTube and you're joining the Kahoot, once you join the Kahoot, please remember to look at your Kahoot screen. Okay, you must have good internet connection so that the question will come as soon as, you know, we change it. You will see everything there and you'll be able to answer. All right. That is, yes, everyone will start at the same time. We will make sure everyone is ready before we start giving out the questions. Okay, we will ensure everyone is ready. Make sure you put in your name. Remember what Shane told you earlier to put in your email address as well. Make sure if you're registered with abc@gmail.com, make sure you put on Kahoot abc@gmail.com. Don't use another email. All right. We will be sending you an email after this with all the reading material. And also, Shane, am I allowed to share these slides with the students?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay, so I'll be sharing Shane's slides and also the reading material that he shared earlier to your emails. If
Yep.
you have not received it, then you can reach out to us. Okay. Yes, there'll be a game pin on the Kahoot. If you have used Kahoot before, it's an app where we can have a quiz, online quiz. Okay, Shane, can I just share my screen for a moment?
Yeah, sure. But sorry,
Go ahead,
Roshan, if I may double check again, I think sharing the slide should be fine. I need to check with Bursa Malaysia on the release of the slide.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay.
So we will double check. We will double confirm with you whether it's okay to be distributed, but I think it should be fine. Okay.
Right. Okay. So, 1 second. So, how will you know if you get selected for the Bursa Investment Challenge? You will actually get an email from us, right? The semi-final. So let's say you join the first round, you get selected to join the semi-finals, you will get an email from us to tell you that you have been selected. You are one of the top 200. Okay. So remember these dates that are on my screen at the moment. 29 July is the first round, 5th August is the semi-finals, and the last final, grand finals, is on the 19th of August, 2023. All right, so put this in your calendars and make sure you join. The first, most important date is the 29th of July. So make sure everyone who is online currently, who is watching this on YouTube as well, join on the 29th of July, and make sure you read up the reading materials thoroughly so that you are able to answer the questions effectively and get as many right. All right, any other questions? I don't see any other questions. There's one here, Shane. How does pyramid scheme work? Maybe a little bit of the content.
Yep. So pyramid scheme, the primary model of pyramid scheme is for you to recruit people. So you earn the money through the recruitment fee. For example, for every person that you recruit as your downline, they pay you X amount of dollar. So the primary focus is on recruitment. But of course, they will give you some products, but the products could not be genuine. It could be a lousy products, right? It could be a product that's unproven. Usually, pyramid scheme, people who engage in pyramid scheme will be on some of them will be on healthcare product, on supplement products, or on cafe and so on. So the focus, when the leaders do the training, most of the time they focus on recruitment. You see, if you have 100 people under you, that's how much money you can make. Okay, they don't really talk about the product that much. So the product quality is questionable. But the primary focus of the scheme is always entice you to get more people. If you achieve how many people within how many months, you get this extra incentive. If you achieve how many people under your network, your single line, okay, then you get this kind of special incentive. Okay, and then they will, make you look very famous. Okay, they'll do a poster to shout out about your achievement and to use you to recruit even more people. So primary objective of pyramid scheme is to get you to recruit people under your downline to promote a product that is unproven yet. Okay, so when that happens, when you join a network that sole focus is on recruitment membership, you need to be wary.
Okay. Yes, I see a few more questions. It's 10 to 12 p.m. on the 29th of July. Actually, all the dates, the 29th July, 5th August, 19th August, is all 10 to 12 p.m. Okay, we will do our best. We will check the Kahoot reports to see how many people have answered correctly, and we will select the ones to move forward. Okay, we don't worry about attendance. We will take attendance based on your attendance in the Zoom today. Okay, we will send an email to inform you about the 29th of July, and we'll give you the Zoom link. It is actually the same link as today. All right, same link as today. We will send you an email. Just make sure to check your email, and you should receive all the info. All right. And if you have any questions after this, right, you maybe go back home, you think of any other question, you can always reach out to us. Either myself, Roshan, my name and email address is there, my phone number as well. Please WhatsApp or give us a call, or my colleague Darshini. And yes, of course, everyone will be doing the same questions, right? Everyone who joins will be doing the same question. Okay. If there is nothing else, I would like to thank Shane. Thanks, Shane, for that awesome presentation. I think it was very, very insightful, very, very good for students. For students, thank you so much for participating. I hope you do your homework, read up what Shane has taught you today, and all the best for the preliminary round on the 29th of July, 2 weeks from now. All right, so I will see you soon. You can go to our YouTube page and actually watch this recording again as well. All right, thank you very much, everyone. I will see you soon.
Bye-bye, everybody. All the best.